A very good afternoon to all of you. I'll be talking about anterior segment OCT use in day-to-day cornea and refractive surgery practice. So first of all, I would like you to know that majorly the anterior segment OCT systems are categorized into two types. One that are converted from the retinal scanners and the other ones that are dedicated anterior segment OCT systems. The systems that are converted from retinal scanners, they use the wavelength of 830 nanometers and provide us with a very high axial resolution as compared to these dedicated anterior segment OCT systems that use the wavelength of 1310 nanometers and provide us with the deeper and wider scans. Now, if we are using retinal scanners to image the anterior segment, you need to use adapter lenses that comes as a separate attachment from the company. And then you can visualize the different areas like anterior chamber angle or cornea, depending on which kind of lens you're using. So you can visualize beautifully the cornea, all the layers of the cornea, starting from tear film to Descemet membranes and endothelium. And coming on to the clinical applications of ASOCT, we can use the ASOCT to assess the corneal thickness, opacity, to evaluate the pre-surgical and post-surgical anterior segment anatomy. It is used in guided laser assisted cataract surgery to image the intracorneal ring segments, to see the position and wall size of the phakic IOLs, and there are many more indications I'll be showing in clinical cases. So keratoconus can be diagnosed on ASOCT based upon 3 or 4 criteria in the central pachymetry map. This is how a patient of keratoconus looks like on anterior segment OCT, where you see thinning of the cornea and altered superior inferior temporal ratio. And it also gives us progression maps if you want to monitor the progression of the disease. Epithelial mapping is a newer concept, which is based upon the concept that the epithelium gets remodeled in response to the underlying stromal surface irregularities. So in the areas of the valleys, it gets thickened, and where the stroma protrudes, there is epithelial thinning. So we are basically looking at the central and the regional epithelial thickness profiles. There is inferior thinning corresponding to the thinnest cornea, and it is very useful to detect the early cases of keratoconus, PMCT, and early detection of corneal ectasia. Now, even before there are changes in epithelium surface, Bowman, there's disintegration of the Bowman's layer, which can be seen as inferior thinning on the high resolution OCT scan. So this is how OCT helps us to see the demarcation line post C3R procedure. This demarcation line usually appears after a month after the procedure, and this correlates directly with the effectiveness of the treatment. So OCT is also useful to assess the position and depth of the intacs. Now, post-operatively, many times it happens that this is stromal melting, and sometimes we need to explant the intacs. So before explanting, if we do the anterior segment OCT to see what is the depth of the intacs, how much stromal thinning is there overlying in the area of the intacs, it is useful in the management of the case. Also, higher resolution OCT allows you to better visualize the LASIK flap. Almost whole extent of the LASIK flap can be visualized. You can measure the thickness of the flap. You can see, look at the residual stromal thickness. And it is also useful in PTK planning. Suppose you have a scar in the cornea and you want to treat the residual refractive error. So first of all, you need to know the depth of the scar. So I'll just show you a clinical case. This was a 32-year-old male patient who presented to us with post-LASIK corneal scar. LASIK was done somewhere else, so we didn't know that what is the depth of the scar, what kind of keratome was used. And the patient had refractive error of -2 diopters with -1 cylinder. Now, before planning any redo surgery, so we always do anterior segment OCT in such cases. As you can very clearly see that this scar is involving almost whole of the flap, but there is residual stromal thickness of 257 microns. So it is not possible just to treat the scar. So we decided to amputate the flap, and you can see that the overall corneal thickness is 404 microns. There are very minimal scar that is left. So that improved patients' visual symptoms like glare and halo, especially the night vision. So An OCT evaluation of the residual stromal bed and flap can predict the potential safety of the redo surgeries. For before all kind of redo surgeries, I highly recommend to do anterior segment OCT for all the patients, because it can visualize flap even after years of refractive surgery. Now, this is a patient who presented to us with refractive error of 1.75 diopters and wanted redo surgery. So we did anterior segment OCT to see that what kind of procedure we can do for this patient. The residual stromal bed in this case was 265 microns, which is insufficient to treat the refractive error of 1.75 diopter if you relift the flap. So we decided to do surface ablation with MMC for this patient, and he was happy after surgery. Now, this is a very interesting case of epithelial ingrowth. So if you look at the slit lamp examination, do this slit lamp examination, you see a desquamated epithelial cyst with milky appearance in the periphery. Now, whether it is to be removed or we can keep it under observation, that is the question. Now, we do the anterior segment OCT, and on OCT, you can see that the extent and depth of the epithelial ingrowth was much more than what it was seen on slit lamp. And also along with that, there is overlying melting of the flap in the area of epithelial ingrowth. So this patient, this epithelial ingrowth had to be removed surgically. So most of the cornea surgeons these days do anterior segment OCT in routine to look at the health of the desect graft. Like in this image, you can see that it is taken after day 3. So the interior, the corneal thickness is more. There's a little corneal edema still present, but the graft is very well attached. This is another case where day 1 patient presented with corneal edema. The visibility was not that great on slit lamp examination. ASOCT was done, and you can see that in the bottom picture that the graft was detached almost throughout. So rebubbling was done, and in the top picture, you can see that the graft is very well attached and there is resolution of the corneal edema. So now almost 14% of the DM detachments are actually picked up on anterior segment OCT. And the reason is that on day 1, if there is significant corneal edema because of the DM detachment, we are not able to see whether the detachment is there or not, what is the extent of detachment, and whether it is linear or non-linear, on which our management will depend. For example, in this patient, in the bottom picture, you can see that there is a large corneal DM detachment with significant corneal edema. So we just, as this patient was picked up on day 1 only, we just injected air in the anterior chamber, and next day the patient was having clear cornea with reattachment of the Reisman membrane. This is another interesting case of capsular bag distension syndrome, in which you can see that the fluid sequestration is there between the IOL and the posterior capsule. So sometimes if the fluid is milky, you are not able to see where the posterior capsule is because of the haze that is there. So in these cases, even a single shot of YAG caps can, the fluid which is there that actually goes into the vitreous cavity, and the patient's myopic shift actually improves, and there is improvement in the final visual. So another recent advancement in the ophthalmology is the introduction of the femtosecond laser-assisted cataract surgery, in which we have real-time OCT integrated into the machine, so which gives us the detailed anterior segment anatomy. So like you see in this particular patient, you have the posterior polar cataract and PC defect is clearly visible. So intraoperative OCT is something new. In this particular patient, you can see that there is a PC defect in the center. This was a case of posterior polar cataract with PC defect. Intraoperative OCT showed herniation of the vitreous, forward herniation of the vitreous into the anterior chamber with intact hyaloid base. So that could be pushed back into the vitreous just with the help of viscoelastic device. And we did not need to do the anterior vitrectomy. So also we can see the size of the vault size of the ICL, which is the distance between the posterior surface of the ICL and anterior surface of the crystalline lens. If there is a low vault, then that predisposes the patient to the cataract formation, and a higher vault can lead to glaucoma formation. And this was a case where actually the ICL went upside down. So this was inverted ICL, which was actually picked up on anterior segment OCT. And then we removed the ICL and re-injected into the right position. So these are some of the other applications like IOL power calculation, tear film meniscus measurements, and it can be used for the limit. There are so many indications, and I still feel that its anterior segment OCT is highly underutilized. So we can pick up a lot of findings. Anterior segment OCT is a powerful, innovative tool for pre and post-operative assessment of the cornea and refractive surgery patients. And newer technologies such as high resolution, ultra high resolution OCT or intraoperative OCT allow more precise visualization of the anterior segment structures that can improve our ability to diagnose and treat corneal disorders. Thank you very much.